This video will contain spoilers for Steel Ball Run. Gyro's consistent struggle is finding a path for himself outside of his family's shadow. His father is a constant specter in his life, even an ocean away. The Zeppeli family teachings are undeniably miraculous, yet Gregorio encourages using the spin only when it will be for an undeniably good cause. He doesn't like uncertainty, because he feels the spin is not something for the Zeppeli family to use selfishly. He feels that the steel balls, the spin, should always be used in service of something greater. Even when first introduced, Gyro is full of contradictions. He's traditional, yet a trailblazer. He's an asshole with a heart of gold. His character arc is really about him learning how to be selfish. How to, as Johnny puts it, hunger. He needs to want things for himself, to not just be, as Ringo calls him, a conformist. That's why True Man's World is Gyro's arc. It's him really truly embracing the spirit of the cowboy, of individuality, of using what he has inherited to find his own path. It's reconciling these different parts of himself that define the rest of his character arc. This journey is also mirrored in Johnny. Johnny states, quote, "That's what I want to learn from you," end quote, chapter 32. Johnny is someone who has inherited, but he's also someone who's lost everything, and hence knows how to hunger. Johnny's position in the third stage is both figuratively and literally caught between Diego, pure hunger, and Gyro, inheritance. Gyro's growth informs Johnny's. Gyro's journey is about growing past what one has inherited to become his own person, just as Johnny states the Steel Ball Run is his own journey to adulthood. The third stage is mostly an introduction for what we can expect from the rest of Gyro's arc. Gyro's arc continues well into the end of the part as he and Johnny inform one another's development. I would argue that Sugar Mountain is the key turning point in their relationship. Once Gyro realizes how much Johnny is willing to give up for him, he too realizes what he is willing to give up for Johnny. Johnny bluntly told Gyro in the third stage that the only thing he was lacking was having his own hunger to win. True Man's World is Gyro shedding his father's traditionalist views due to the sentimentality, care, love he has for Johnny. The decision to go back for Johnny is the first time Gyro has been able to freely express his own feelings as an individual, and sets him on the path to continue exploring that side of himself further into the part. In Catch the Rainbow, we see him starting to find that golden path, a path of his very own, and using what he's learned in True Man's World to be able to overtake both Diego and Johnny, because he's found that individualistic hunger for victory. Yet, his perfect victory is interrupted. Gyro loses for a reason, though. In order to gain that perfect victory, the golden path, he had to cast aside everything, quote, "Even Johnny disappears," end quote, Catch the Rainbow, part 2. Gyro failed to reconcile the two paths, hunger and inheritance, choosing one over the other, and that is why he didn't get a perfect victory. As previously stated, that's not what he or Johnny needs to learn. Sugar Mountain is Johnny recognizing that he's actually not willing to sacrifice everything to satiate his hunger. Seeing this, something in Gyro also changes. He thinks about the ball that hit the net, the moment where only luck, or fate, can decide how things turn out. Gregorio says something along the lines of, quote, "Where the ball lands, only God can decide," end quote. But that's not entirely true. Johnny had a choice to make: the corpse parts, the thing he wanted most in the world, or Gyro. For Gyro, that was the moment the ball hit the net, and it was a very human decision, one born of sentimentality, that led to his life being saved. This idea is followed up in Wrecking Ball. Here, finally, Gyro is able to reconcile the two sides of himself. He's quite literally faced with his mirror image in Wekapipo, a man who knows the spin but who has lost connection to his homeland and his roots. Gyro remembers another moment the ball hit the net, when he botched a surgery on Wekapipo's sister. It was a moment of bad luck for Gyro, but one that saved another's life. Gyro defeats Wekapipo through the reconciliation of his hunger and his inheritance. He's fully committed to the corpse hunt with Johnny, even willing to give up the race in his original goal, as seen in Philadelphia, chapter 72. Yet it is only because of what he learned from his family, the Zeppeli faith and miracles, that he is able to move past Wekapipo as an obstacle to continue the hunt. This reconciliation finally brings to a close the conflict from the third stage, and at last Gyro has the insight needed to be at peace with himself and his decisions, wherever they may lead. This, I think, is what gives greater meaning to his final words. There's lesson 5, of course, but there's also his parting words. Quote, "If that's how it is, I'm fine with it." End quote. Chapter 89. Gyro maintained his morals until the end, refusing to send his bad luck somewhere else. He refused to artificially manipulate luck/fate to decide the outcome of his injury. He very humanly accepted his death. Lady Luck had not been on his side. It was because of his relationship with Johnny, the source of his sentimentality, and all that he learned throughout the race about himself and what he really values, that he was at peace with himself in the end. Gyro finally found the path that felt right to him, concluding the arc started in True Man's world. Gyro was both an inheritor and an individual who learned to hunger through the pursuit of goals that would improve him as a person, partially because he knew the corpse hunt could help him grow, but also seen in his refusing to back out at the end due to his affection for Johnny. In Lesson 5, his parting words to Johnny, Gyro thanks him for teaching him how to hunger and grow into himself, just as Johnny thanks him for teaching Johnny how to inherit and once again see value and beauty in the world around him. Sometimes I see takes that say Johnny and Gyro switched protagonist roles halfway through. I would argue that's not an accurate description. They really informed each other's development throughout the part and even well into the climax. It's because of Gyro that Johnny too learned how to reconcile inheritance and hunger, allowing him to fight against Alt Diego on his own. Alt Diego being the very embodiment of the corruption of hunger. Gyro and Johnny taught each other how to hunger nobly and find the best of both worlds. They really do have a beautiful relationship, and I'm disappointed when I see it mischaracterized. Ultimately, Gregorio was half wrong. Sentimentality was the downfall of Gyro Zeppeli, but it was also the cause of his greatest triumph, allowing him to find peace with himself in the end. The art of the spin was passed to Johnny, and everything Gyro embodied lives on through him. Thank you for listening. I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Thanks. Have a great day.